everyone, I'm Claire, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing polishes from my collection that start with almost every letter of the alphabet. This is an idea that I got from another nail polish channel, Kay the Stephanie. She's great, you should definitely watch her video after this one, it's linked below. And Kay had a polish for every letter of the alphabet while I only have 23 of the 26. But I feel like that's enough for this concept to work, and it's honestly more than I expected to have in my collection of around 110 polishes. If you want, you can go ahead and put your guesses in the comments for which letters I don't have polishes for. I feel like one of the three is easy to guess, but the other two I was a little bit more surprised by. And you could also guess which letter has the most representatives. So Kay had two rules for herself when selecting polishes. One was that she couldn't buy any new polishes for the video, and the other was that she had to show polishes that she really liked, that really fit her preferences. I'm definitely following that first rule. I didn't go out and buy any new polishes to fill the gaps in the alphabet. And for the second rule, I took a similar approach, just with an extra element. When I had multiple options for a letter, I did pick my favorite, but in the cases where it was hard to choose, I decided that I would go with polishes that are no longer available, like limited edition polishes or polish pickup shades. And that's not because I'm trying to show off that I have these limited edition or discontinued polishes, but just because I feel like I might not have other opportunities to share them. Like if I'm making a video with my Black Friday recommendations or something, I'll definitely be talking about polishes that are still available, but I think these other polishes deserve some attention too. Not that everything I'm showing has been discontinued, some of it is still around, but some of it you might only be able to get in D-stashes. And then my last rule is that if a polish name starts with an article, like A or the, then I skip that word and look at what letter the next word starts with. So for example, the polish The Observer's Paradox goes with the O polishes, not the T polishes. And I do also want to mention that if I already had a swatch for a polish, I'm going to use that existing footage instead of re-swatching just to save time. So you'll see my thumbnail at a lot of different lengths and sometimes with a patch from when it was broken. Also, I'm going to try to talk about each polish for less time than I usually would, just so that this video isn't like an hour long, which means that I might have to trim down the swatch footage a little bit more than usual. But with all the rules and disclaimers out of the way, let's get into it. For A, I only had one option, and that's Aurora Unicorn Skin from Holo Taco. This is an iridescent flake topper, meaning it has various sizes of asymmetrical flakes in a clear base, and those flakes are translucent, so they'll look different depending on what polish you paint them over. Over darker colors, it's more of a blue-purple-pink shift with orange and green at extreme angles, while over white you'll get more of a yellow-green tone. I really love this polish paired with Holo Taco's Cold Slate, which is a blue-gray cream. It's dark enough that you see those blue and purple tones, but light enough that you get more of that green and orange shift. And because I like to remind people that you can put toppers over more than just creams, I'm also showing it over Mooncat's Loch Ness, which is a dark blue linear hollow, and it helps those flakes pop a bit more. Even though this polish was my only option for A, it's still one that I really like and that I've used several times, and it's still around if you want to pick it up. And then B is actually the letter I had the most options for. I have 15 B polishes, which is around 14% of my collection, but the one that I decided to show you is Me In Holo from Holo Taco's limited edition collab with Sophia Nygaard. This is a berry red polish in the crushed holo formula, meaning it has tiny holographic flakes that layer together for a nice subtle sparkle. And the color is inspired by Sophia's various experiments with mixing together different cosmetics, like all the lipstick from Sephora or all the hand sanitizer from Bath & Body Works. And this is probably my favorite polish from that collection. I like the crushed holo formula, and this one is kind of unique in that a lot of Holo Taco's plain crushed holos are neutrals, while a lot of the colorful ones also have shimmer, so this is one of the only colorful ones without shimmer. But I am predicting / hoping that we get more in this category in the fall. And because I have so many B polishes, I do want to note a couple of honorable mentions. Those would be Holo Taco's Bless Your Heart and Lurid Lacquer's Brunhilde. I have 8 C polishes, and the standout is Crystal Mommy, which is an example of a crushed holo with shimmer, plus some extra scattered holo. The base color is a medium purple, and the shimmer is pink with a gold shift. This was one of the least popular polishes from the limited edition Birthstone collection last year. I'm guessing either because we had already seen a lot of crushed holo with shimmer that year, or because people didn't like the name. But it was one of my favorites from that collection. I think the base color and the shimmer play really nicely together, where it almost doesn't look like two different pigments, they just flow seamlessly into each other. So it looks nice in all sorts of different lighting, an all-around gorgeous color, and a clear favorite among my C polishes. Now D was a little more difficult because I like all 4 of my D polishes, but I decided to go with Mooncat's The Dark Side. This is a polish I picked up during their first round of Dearly Departed this year, where they give you one last chance to buy certain polishes before they're discontinued. I try not to buy a polish just because it's my last chance, but this is one I had considered before, and I'm glad I got it. It has a black jelly base with silver metallic flakes and blue hollow glitter, which is just a really nice combo, dark but still sparkly. And I would love to see more polishes in this formula from Mooncat, like different dark jelly bases and different glitter colors, but they don't do metallic flake polishes very often, so I'm not holding my breath. And just to mention the other contenders for this letter, they were Mooncat's Demeter's Harvest and the Diabolical Mojo Jojo, and Dead Petals from Holo Taco. All solid polishes. Moving on to E, I had 3 options for this one and a pretty clear favorite, Extraterrestrial from Cadillacquer's recent Out of This World collection. This is a magnetic polish with a purple multichrome base that shifts to red, and bright green magnetic pigment that also shifts to a deeper shade of green. It's one of those where if you hadn't seen swatches and just looked at it unmagnetized, it would be hard to predict what it looks like magnetized because it's so transformational and there's such a contrast between the base and the magnetic pigment. So I think that makes it really fun in both the Cat Eye and the Velvet styles. Either way, you have those 2 bold colors complementing each other, or you could technically wear it unmagnetized for just that muted green color with some purple flecks. And I think it's a great witchy polish with the green-purple color combo, so I might save it for Halloween, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to wait that long to wear it. And you should potentially still be able to find it from Cadillacquer's stockists. They recently brought it back for another round of pre-orders. And then F is another letter that shows up a lot in my collection. I have 12 options for this one and settled on Mooncat's Forces of Evil from their limited edition Powerpuff Girls collab. I'm not usually drawn to red polish, but this is an exception. I love how bright it is and that it's a jelly, and I like that it leans a little pink. Plus the flakes are super glowy. The one thing that I would change is that I wish it had a blue shimmer. Like, it has some blue flakes, but I think the combo of larger flakes with a super fine shimmer would work really well, like in the polish The Diabolical Mojo Jojo from the same collection. But I still really like it as is. Mooncat makes some great flaky polishes, and we haven't seen enough of them this year. The honorable mentions for F are Holo Taco's Foreshadow, Mooncat's Firewall, and Lurid Lacquer's Frost on the Window Panes. All polishes that I'm a big fan of. G had 5 options, and the one I chose is Gates of Hell, another Mooncat. This is a black to red multichrome polish with lots of scattered holo. I will say it doesn't really act like other multichromes I have. I'm used to seeing some subtle brushstrokes, but this one is very smooth. And compared to other black to red multichromes like ILNP's Eclipse, Gates of Hell seems to have a bit of a softer transition. Like, Eclipse shifts from a dark black to a glowy red, while Gates of Hell just kind of hangs out in the burgundy range a lot, though at some angles you do get more of a red shift. But I still really like it. I wore it for the first time during October, not long after I first tried the Coffin nail shape, and it definitely felt very vampy and spooky. Unfortunately, this one was discontinued during the most recent round of Dearly Departed, and it's no longer available, but there are plenty of options out there if you just want something similar. And the other G polish I considered was Gold Flake Taco. Then I had 4 options for H, and I chose one that I have featured before, but I really like it, so I'm showing it again. It's Holo Taco's Hot Wire Pink. This is a hot pink linear holo polish, and it's the polish that made me realize I like hot pink. I think I just bought it because it's one of the Buy Flag colors, but then when I wore it, I was like, oh, this is really fun just on its own. I need more of this color. Of the various hot pinks that I have, this one is more on the cool tone side, and the holo flare is very impressive. I've definitely noticed that not all linear holos are created equal. Some are more rainbowy than others, and this is one of the ones where you can really see the linear holo pigment doing its thing. So this probably won't be the last time you hear me talk about Hot Wire Pink, especially because it's still around, so I like to recommend it during sales. The other H polish I considered was another linear holo, Happily Ever Aqua. That one has shimmer that matches the base color, and I wanted to bring it up just to mention that I think Holo Taco should do linear holos with contrasting shimmer like they've done with the crushed holos, and that seems like that might actually be happening in the upcoming anniversary collection, so I'm happy about that. There were 5 options for I, but a pretty clear favorite, Inside Job from Holo Taco. It came out in last year's limited edition royalty collection, and it's a purple glitter polish. So it's got a purple jelly base, and then holographic glitters in a variety of sizes, including square glitters. If the square glitters look familiar, it might be because Holo Taco recently came out with a whole collection of polishes with square glitters, but before that they had used them a few times. And I think that this is my first glitter polish. I was a little bit wary of glitters at first because I had heard that they're hard to remove, but then I learned that all things are possible through the power of the soak-off method, and I think the sparkle is worth the extra time it takes to get this polish off my nails. It's just so pretty and was really the only contender for I. And then for J, I didn't have to make a decision because I only had one option, Mooncat's Jewel Beetle. This is a pink to green to gold multichrome that you might have seen in my last video. It's from Mooncat's Fallen collection that came out in September, and it's one of my favorite Mooncat collections. I have like half of the polishes from it, and it's pretty rare for me to buy that much of a collection. But this one is really pretty, kind of brighter than some of the common multichromes, very colorful, and it features one of my favorite color combos, that green and pink. This polish is still around, but you could probably find this same type of multichrome for cheaper from another brand. Like, I haven't tried Island P, but I know that they have a lot of multichromes for a reasonable price. So that's something to consider if you're interested in this polish, but I'm definitely happy to have Jewel Beetle in my collection. And that brings us to K, which is the first letter that I don't have a polish for. This one kind of surprised me since I don't think of K as an uncommon letter, but maybe it just appears more at the end of words. And I did look to see if any of the 4 brands I buy from have a K polish. I don't think Holo Taco or Lurid do, at least not in their current catalogs. I wouldn't be surprised if Cadillacquer has had one at some point since they've been around a while, but I'm not familiar enough with their catalog through the years to think of a K polish from them. Mooncat, though, does have a couple options. Kafkaesque, which is a brown cream, and Koi Whiskers, which is one of their new thermals, but I don't think I'll be getting either of those since they're close enough to things that I already have, not to mention kind of expensive for what they are. Moving on to L, I had 4 options and went with Lunar Unicorn Skin from Holo Taco. So this is similar to Aurora Unicorn Skin that I talked about earlier with iridescent flakes and a clear base, just in a different colorway. These ones appear yellow and green over dark colors and more aqua and purple over light colors, and I find that this topper actually does still look very vibrant over light colors, while the other unicorn skins can look a bit washed out. I'm showing it over Ivory Tower, which is an ivory cream, and then Dead Petals, which is a warm purple linear hollow. I've also worn it over a dark green cream, and that was nice. It's just a very versatile polish. I'm not gonna say it looks good with everything, because maybe you could make a bad combo with it, but it looks good with everything that I've tried. I could have also gone with Linear Holo Taco for L, but Lunar Unicorn Skin just stands out to me a bit more. And then for M, I had 5 options that are all polishes I enjoy, but I decided to share Cadillacquer's Many Moons in the interest of giving more time to brands other than Holo Taco and Mooncat, and because it's just a very cool polish, kind of the reason that I placed my first Cadillacquer order. It's a thermal that transitions from black in the cold state to blue in the warm state, and it also includes round glitters in a variety of neon colors. They kind of look like bubbles, and they make the thermal effect extra special because the polish is more opaque in the cold state and more sheer in the warm state, so the glitters appear and disappear as the polish goes through its different colors, which I think is fun to see. This polish is kind of difficult to remove, even with the soak-off method, but I think it's worth it. And without this polish, I think I would have had a hard time deciding what to go with for M, because I have the polishes Misfire, Zyler Cat Eye, Midnight Spark, and Midnight Owl, all from Holo Taco, and those are all good polishes too. So for N, I had 4 options, and I decided to go with one that I don't think I featured in a long-form video before, Need I Say Mocha from Holo Taco's Barista Bundle, which was a collection of all neutral crushed holos. This is the 3rd crushed holo I'm talking about in this video, so more proof that it's a formula I enjoy. I feel like even when you're not seeing the holographic rainbow effect under direct light, crushed holos still have a nice visual texture and they still look interesting, as opposed to a linear holo that just looks very plain when you're not seeing the rainbows. Also, I'm pretty sure that this was my first brown polish, and that's a polish color I really enjoy, so Need I Say Mocha is special for that reason. I've since added a lot more browns to my collection, and this is the one that started it all. It's a tad more sheer than I expect from a dark color, but still a good polish, and still around if you're interested. And I did have some other good options for N, like Nocturne for Mooncat, and a couple of my favorite Holo Taco creams, Nightshade, and Not Pressed. And then there were also 4 options for O, and I decided on Oh Yes There Will Be Blood from Cadillacquer's most recent Halloween collection. I feel like because I'm less likely to be drawn to red polish, if I do end up getting one, it's because it's a standout that I really like, so most of the few reds that I do have are ending up in this video. This one, similar to Forces of Evil, has a jelly base, but it's more of a true red without that pink undertone. And within that, there are matte black glitters and metallic red glitters, which I think is a very fun combo. I would love to see more brands use colorful metallic glitters in polishes like this. They had a nice sparkle. This is a polish that I'll probably mostly wear during spooky season, but I'm still glad that I have it. And then the honorable mention for O is the Observer's Paradox from Lurid Lacquer. So P was an interesting one because some of the 8 options were prototype polishes from Lurid Lacquer, and I wasn't sure if a polish called something like Prototype 197 should count because it's less of an intentional polish name and more of just a label, but if I didn't count them with the P polishes, then the prototypes would just totally get left out, and I didn't want that to happen, so I did choose one of them for this letter. I went with Prototype 238, which is a pale bright green polish with yellow-orange iridescent flakes and reflective glitter. I love this formula from Lurid. You'll see another polish with the same finish later in this video, and I'm definitely keeping my eye out for more from them in the future. I think there might be one in the next collection. It's just so sparkly, very fun, and even though this polish was originally only available as a mystery prototype, I think it's going to eventually be available for purchase since a lot of people requested that it come back. So if you like it, you can keep an eye out for that. And a couple honorable mentions would be Mooncat's Poems for Harvest Moon and Cadillacquer's Peace of Mind. Next up we've got Q, which is not a very common letter, but I do have one Q polish, the Quiet Chaos from Cadillacquer's Winter Collection. This is a thermal polish that's dark green in the cold state and white/clear in the warm state, and it's full of iridescent flakes in pink and orange and aqua and other colors. I think you're seeing most of my thermals in this video. I don't tend to buy too many of them since the thermal effect goes away eventually, but they are fun and I thought this one was really pretty. Not as unique as many moons, but just a nice color combo with all those flakes. And even though Cadillacquer polishes aren't always consistently available, collections do tend to be restocked at their various stockists a few times, like alongside new releases, so you could look for this and other thermals in the fall, since they prefer to ship thermals when the weather is cooler and they're less likely to get overheated and stop working in transit. But some of the other Cadillacquer polishes I've shown today might be available now. So now we're at R, and I was surprised to only have 2 options since I think of R as a pretty common letter. I went with Ragebait from Holo Taco's limited edition 5th anniversary collection. This is another thermal. It transitions from a hot pink in the cold state to a yellowy orange in the warm state. Plus it has a little bit of purple shimmer and scattered holo, though those are both pretty faint. I've seen a couple people show this polish recently because they were comparing it to the new Mooncat thermal Koi Whiskers, and they said it wasn't transitioning as well as it did when they first got it. Like, the warm state was a slightly darker orange instead of lightening all the way to that yellow orange. But luckily mine is still going strong. I swatched it for this video and it looks the same as when I first got it. I should really try to get some use out of it this summer though, since I haven't worn it that many times. The other polish I could have shown is Cadillacquer's Reliant Supergiant, which is pretty popular but just not my favorite. Then I had 11 options for S, and I chose A Song of Ice and Fire from Cadillacquer. It was a polish pickup shade last year, so not available now. It has a cool-toned gray base with black hex glitters in various sizes and some red-orange iridescent flakes. I did not get this one for the name since I never got into A Song of Ice and Fire or Game of Thrones. I just like how it looks. It gives granite countertop vibes, which is not something that I knew I wanted, but once I had it on my nails, I thought it was very fun. I really like the combo of glitter and flakes. It's a finish that Cadillacquer does a decent bit, but I think this is the only example of it that I have, so something that I'm interested in getting more of eventually. As far as honorable mentions, Holo Taco's Secret Society and Spyglass are a couple I really enjoy, along with Lurid Lacquer's Steadfast. I have 5 tea polishes, and I decided to go with Teal No Lies from Holo Taco's 2nd limited edition royalty collection. I always talk about how I'm not that into teal polishes, but this is an exception. I like that it's a slightly darker color, but still vibrant. I should also note that it looks much more blue on camera than it does in person. In person, it definitely has a lot more green. It's that true teal between green and blue. I don't really know how to color correct well, so I just tried increasing the warmth on a photo to give you an idea, but it's still not totally accurate. But beyond the color, I mostly like this polish for the finish. It's a metallic microflake polish and has really nice coverage and opacity. It looks very smooth, but still with a lot of depth. I think we're getting another polish in this finish in the 6th anniversary collection in more of a blue color, so probably not too far off from how Teal No Lies looks on camera. And while I do really enjoy this finish, I kind of wish we were getting it in a more distinct color. But I think Christine has said that this pigment is only available in certain colors, so they're just limited by what's out there. A couple of other polishes I considered showing were from Holo Taco's Birthstone collection, Topaz Tears and Tanzanite Away, but I have shown those on my channel before, so I thought I would let Teal No Lies have the spotlight. Moving on to U, this is actually the second letter I don't have polish for. Not the most surprising letter to be missing, but I also wouldn't have been surprised if I had had a couple U polishes. I know there are some options out there. Lurid Lacquer's Unwavering and Upside Down Bicycle Ice Cream come to mind, as well as Mooncat's recently discontinued Ultra Hot. And I think there's a polish called Unicorn No. 1 in Holo Taco's 6th anniversary collection. As of filming, I'm on the fence about picking that one up. It seems to be a purple base with red shimmer, which is a color combo that I really like, but I arguably have enough of it, so I'll have to see some swatches before I really decide. So yeah, no U polishes that I'm definitely going to add to my collection, but I wouldn't be surprised if I end up with a U polish someday. Alright, we're getting to the last 5 letters. V, W, X, Y, and Z, so it's your last chance to make your predictions in the comments for the third letter that isn't represented in my collection. We're getting into the weird ones, so could be any of them. Pause if you'd like to make or change your guesses in the comments. But yeah, next is V, and it's not the missing letter. I had 3 options for V, and I went with Velvet Rose, which is a discontinued Mooncat polish. It's a pink magnetic with a dusty, slightly deeper pink base and silvery pink magnetic shimmer, plus some small flakes and scattered holo. It's a very dainty, pretty shade, really great for the velvet style of magnetization, though it can also work with the cat eye style. I love how creative brands have been getting with magnetics lately, with super shifty, contrasting colors, but I also do enjoy this more subdued type of magnetic sometimes, or at least I like this one since it has a little more going on than just a base color and silver magnetic pigment. Super simple magnetics like that are kind of boring to me, but this one is nice. The other polish I considered for V was Mooncat's Velociraptor, but I feel like that one has shown up on my channel a little bit more, so I let Velvet Rose have its moment. Next up is W, which I had 2 options for, and I went with Cadillacquer's What to Do. Not sure what collection this is from, it was just available on What's Up Nails when I was ordering Many Moons, and I thought it looked cool, so I got it. It has a deep teal jelly base with purple metallic glitters and green reflective glitter, which is a pretty unique combo that I really like. It's another teal that I tolerate because of the finish. I like the metallic glitters. Once again, I would love to see more polishes with metallic glitters in different colors. They look really good in a jelly base. And I like the colorful reflective glitter too, adds a very nice sparkle. This isn't necessarily the type of polish I expect to see from Cadillacquer since they tend to do more crellies than jellies, but I would definitely be interested to see them do more in this finish. And that brings us to X, which is the third letter not represented in my collection. I'm not at all surprised by this one. There are not very many words that start with X. I can't find any X polishes from the brands I buy from, and the only one I know of in general is the one that Kay shared, XOXO Jelly from Cirque. So I think that someone should make a xylophone polish with rainbow bar glitters. We'll see if that ever happens. Now we're at Y, and I had 2 options for this, both with kind of long names. I decided to go with You're Literally the Worst Person Ever, but You're Hot. So this is one of Lurid Lacquer's Hella Handmade Creations polishes based on romance/fantasy book tropes. It's a hot pink polish with yellow-orange iridescent flakes and pink reflective glitter, so a similar finish to that green prototype from earlier. And it's just so pretty and sparkly. Like I said, I love this finish from Lurid. There's so much reflective glitter packed in there. If you were disappointed by the lack of reflective glitter in Holo Taco's Off the Deep End collection, then I would recommend checking out Lurid's reflective glitter polishes because they don't skimp. My other option was You Don't Feel the Air Flexing from Cadillacquer, which is nice, but not as much of a standout. And finally, we're at Z, and I have 1 Z polish thanks to Simply Nailogical's cat. It's Zyler Cat Eye, and it's a magnetic polish from Holo Taco, meant to match Zyler the cat's eyes. It has a copper base, red-orange shimmer, and pale copper magnetic pigment. And I do enjoy this one, maybe not quite as much as the polish based on Menchie the cat's eyes, but that one's green, so it has an advantage. I do like the warm copper too, and I appreciate that there's a base shimmer since that adds some interest in addition to the magnetic pigment. So it's a nice polish and still available, and if you'd rather have the glitter version, there's also the polish Zyler the Cat, which is a similar color. I don't have that one, but it seems nice. Also, don't mind the weird wrinkling on the velvet style swatch. I got a cheap top coat to use with swatching, and you may have noticed it wrinkle a bit on some of the other swatches, but this one was by far the worst. Probably didn't give the polish enough time to dry. Okay, so those are all of the polishes, all 23 of them. Pretty sure this is going to end up being one of my longest videos since I had a lot to cover, but I just thought that this was a really fun opportunity to show some of my collection in a different way, just talk about some of the polishes that I wouldn't otherwise have a reason to talk about. So shout out again to Kay for inspiring this idea. I'll have her video linked below, and you should definitely go watch it and subscribe to her if you haven't already. But yeah, I think that's all I have for you today. Thank you to everyone who's watching till the end. Let me know in the comments if you have a favorite polish from what I showed you today, if you have a polish in your collection for every letter of the alphabet, and if you guessed right about any of the letters that I didn't have a polish for. And if you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you would leave me a like or maybe even subscribe. Thank you to everyone who has already subscribed, and I'll see you next time. Bye!